Hey y'all, so I'm gonna be talking about Kwikset in this video. Here we go. So one of the main things that you kind of have to have for Kwikset servicing is a cylinder removing tool. And these are kind of called a pickle. It's kind of a nickname that they have. It's called a pickle. And that's because they come out of the factory with this green coating or this green tint. I don't know if you can tell in the video and the lighting, but it's a green color. Here you can see two brand new ones that I just got in yesterday, and then two of mine that I've had around here for years. So aside from loss, you really don't need a lot of these because one or two will last you for a long time. Eventually it'll start getting worn out in this area, just not really worn out, but just from wear. And so you might want to keep two or three. They're only a couple of bucks each, so two or three on hand, spread out amongst your area that you work on locks, because it can be used for other things besides Kwikset. But we're going to talk about this use on Kwikset locks. Now there are other styles of these, like round handle with springy Dills and any other thing, but these are flat. They're easy. They take up a very small amount of room with your other tools, and it's just the easiest way to do it. So what you do, there's two ends. One's used to remove the clips and to pop out the cylinder, and the other end is used to do this. On a Kwikset doorknob, in most generations, you take the end here, go in beside the spring mechanism, and if you look at the spring mechanism on both sides, one side has a solid tab that doesn't move. The other side is open. You can push down that tab and it's spring loaded. So you take this end and slide it between where the screw goes and that, and as you get past this part that doesn't move, simply angle it until it stays there, slightly pushing on that tab. And when you angle this, you just lever it up, it pushes down on that tab by like a lever action, and you can see here it doing that. Oh, got too close. So slide it down between the post, feel that spring, get it kind of centered on that tab, and then lever it, and then you can hold it. And any tool to let you reach down and grab this and lift out the spindle. That spindle won't come out unless that tab is pushed, and what it's doing is it's releasing the little mechanism that holds it in. So if you're levering it and it doesn't come out, you're not levering it down far enough. So once the spindle comes out, you release it, and that is the tab there. I'll go ahead and show you what it's doing. That's the tab that holds it in. When you push it down, it moves it out of the way and clears way for it to be pulled out. So now you turn it around and go in at kind of a flat this way, and then so basically you're taking the tip of that tool and pushing that spring out of the way, which would be the same thing as doing this, I might add. You could do it with two different tools, but it's not really necessary because you can use this to lever it out of the way. Alright, and once you get down to the bottom, take your tool and center it. Now, it's kind of spring loaded obviously, so it's going to want to snap to one side or the other. But it has to be right in the middle, and it will stay by itself most of the time. And you want to turn it around. If it doesn't stay where it is, you can kind of hold it steady And let's back the camera up a little bit. So holding it straight up, you want to give it a good firm strike down. So you could either hit it from this side with a hammer or screwdriver. You could just tap it and it pops out. I don't know if you saw that or not. Or you could flip it upside down and whack it on the counter. Or you could push and it'll just come out, if it's, depending on the age and how, oh, hold on. Depending on the age of it and how kind of sealed up it is right there. But the easiest way to do it is push it down until it stops, center it, turn it over, tap it on a surface, and it pops it out. Now what that's doing is these two springs, or snap tabs I guess you could call them, are squeezed together and they pop in, and then it's held in place right here, and they're a little bit together. So when you run this down it, what this is doing is, it's just because of how it's tensioned there, it's grabbing both edges of that, and then when you push in, it squeezes them together, which allows it to push out of the cylinder. So that is what that's doing. And the reason why you want it to be straight on instead of flat, because if it's at an angle, it's not going to grab it right, or it'll mess it up, or hit one side and not the other. And these are fairly tensile, pretty strong springs, and pretty resistant to multiple wax out. Sometimes the little nibs that are right here on those, see if we can get it close up, so that little nib on each side where it punches out, that kind of grabs into the metal in the lock as well. And the locks of different generations are made of sometimes a cheaper pot metal, so this can get clogged up. If your lock is kind of acting up and not the cylinder after you snap it back in and it's kind of loose or not working real well, you can take a little bitty sharp pointed object and first clear out the probably what's jammed in there, and then you can push it in and let it lift up a little bit more, and then you want to bend your springs back out just a bit, and that'll help tighten up the core in case when you snap it back in it's loose. So when you snap, now also Kwiksets are handed. In other words, the keyhole is going to be right side up or upside down, upside right, left side down, no, right side up, left side down, whatever, you know what I mean. So holding the lock in your hand like it would go in the door with the screws at the 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock position, you put this in the door and snap your cylinder in either which way. Now, one time-saving thing that I do when I remove locks on a job and I'm in the truck rekeying them, after I snap the cylinder out with the tool and the cylinder comes out, I then grab the spindle that I just took out, and this spindle is plastic, and I'm going to talk about the differences in locks here in a minute, but you can take the spindle, and unless it's broken like this plastic one, you can push it back in, make sure it fully seats, and you don't have to move that spring, it'll push it out of the way because it's got a ramp on it, but make sure it seats all the way down. And then you take the end of this, and again, if this was not broken, you take the end of this tool and you can turn it back and forth, which lets you make sure that it is seated and turning correctly in there. And I'll go over that in just a minute over there again. So once that's firmly seated in there, one thing you can do is center it just like you had pulled it out, like so. And then when you put it back on the door, you hold the latch in, put this in the door. After that's in the door, then you can snap your cylinder back in. After it's rekeyed, you've got the new keys for the lock. Then you just walk up, put the cylinder in with the keyway right side up, pet peeve of mine, and snap it in. If it doesn't snap in easily, turn your spindle And you can do that from the inside because it's sticking out. And then just snap your cylinder in. And check your key, turn your key both ways, and both ways, and make sure that it locks when you turn it one way and unlocks when you turn it the other way. So now we come to the cylinder and the other use of the tool. This tool, the one that pops the cylinder out, is also used to remove the C-clip. So put it in there, rock it back and forth, and then grab it with the tip. Now that works on the deadbolt cylinders and the knob cylinders. You can see it is perfectly sized, and you just rock it back and forth. I'm trying to look in the camera at the same time here. So rock it back and forth. Once it starts to pop out, grab the other side and pull. That's all there is to Kwikset clips. As you can see, that is one of the main things that you do with Kwikset locks to service them, is get you one of these cylinder removing tools. And like I said before, there's other styles, variations, brands make different styles. This one works. That's all you need. That's all you need is one that works, right? So I'm going to move over here and we're going to talk about the different styles of Kwiksets and all that. I may not do it quite right now, but in this video it'll all merge together. So I've got a bunch of variety styles of Kwiksets over there on the counter that I'm going to talk about. But first I have to go do a little bit of work. Boo! Boo! Yeah, anyway, I'll be back in a little bit.